Machine. It's hustling time!
Welcome one and all to Killamanjaro 3, our twice-a-year presentation for upcoming Yomi fan content. And given that we've reached number 3, that means that we've officially been doing these for more than a year now. However, this direct is unlike any other before it, ascending from a mere presentation to a borderline festival, with music, fun, games, and a grand surprise at the end. Get comfortable because this ride won't be making any stops. Even as we shift into high gear, this will still be the longest direct to date. And it'll be getting off with an implosive start. In space, where there's almost no friction, once an object starts moving, it isn't likely to stop. Which is exactly how we need to progress this direct, so we're out here for an hour. Another threat from the unknown reaches of space is approaching. The antithesis to all warriors of the light, the dark side of the moon. Crota is representing the Hive from the Destiny series of first-person MMORPGs. They originate from the dark side of the moon and are sort of insectoids. You don't need intergalactic enemies though when you've already got interdimensional threats. Case in point, the supernatural. What if instead of having to overcome these threats ourselves, we had a noble warrior who plays by the same fourth dimensional rules? Alongside some small updates for Torment and Hellsate, an elaborate versus animation is in the works, featuring Torment and a new mysterious face, X. We're not entirely sure what his deal is, but go figure, he's looking to throw hands. When this animation drops, more details will be revealed about when the character mod for X will drop. In the meantime, rest your spirit and let the music heal your soul. The opening act for our proverbial music festival, DJ, is a perfect harmony between game mechanics and music, with unprecedented customizability. But this is the part of the concert set where we honor the fallen.
All men can see the tactics whereby I conquer, but what none can see is the strategy out of which victory is evolved. If there's no other way, I choose blood! Let your plans be dark and impenetrable as night, and when you move, fall like a thunderbolt. Whatever you do, don't reveal all your techniques in a YouTube video. You fool. You moron. I shall repay that injustice 1,000 times over.
Technoblade lives on! This mod is a tribute to Techno and all the iconic and fun times he gave us in life. He has a blood bar resource used for devastating attacks, oftentimes at the cost of his own HP. This mod will drop sometime in the late summer or early fall. However, other things are coming, sooner and later. Good old reliable Plantman, with a barrage of mods planned for the near and far future, based on a variety of source materials. Though that being said, there does seem to be one source that's going to show up more than once in this direct.
If you are unsure on who is going to win, always bet on Hakaru.
っとくけど、そっちがチャレンジャーだ。
Standing proud, Pix and Team Conjoined Perfection have come together to bring you a new wave of Jujutsu Kaisen mods, to breathe new life to JJK within the Yomi space. Though for every team project, there's a solo project just waiting to be unleashed, such as Emmy's new upcoming vampire, here to haunt the night. Scarlet, the new blood vampire, makes it to Yomi. With just a small taste, she's sure to mark you for her target. Make sure to not so much as bleed, as that's all that's necessary. Though, it won't amount to much if she can't hit her target. Finally, you can put yourself to the test. Are you evasive enough to avoid Samus's one weakness? That being knives. And when you get good at that, you can move on to bigger and bigger knives. I'm pretty sure the technical term for that may or may not be sword. Beware of the fire zombie. Karo is out for revenge against the snow fox Miyuki. Why? We don't answer questions like that here. I'm pretty sure you're supposed to go figure that out yourself. Regardless, the Grapes character narrative is rapidly expanding. Its mysteries are waiting for your keen eyes to solve. Eyes. What did it mean by that again? I forget which trailer is next. Boy, what the hell? No. God damn it!
Counter.
That's right, this direct is so freakishly long that we've had to split it into 3 big chunks. We're not even at the midpoint yet, believe it or not. As for this weird fellow, there's a chance you actually might have heard of him before.
Dude, why is it that when I flash somebody, it's like I just slapped them in the face with a fucking napkin from a little kid's birthday party? But when I get fucking flashed, it's like some big brolic black dude named fucking Raquise pulled a fucking bed sheet over the head of my head and just proceeds to skull fuck me!
You might also not know
Raquise!
that's fair too. Regardless, alongside flash banging me in my YOMI ROYALE venue, he has many other stated feats. Let's show them on screen for a second. He's kind of freakishly yoked. He's from the insane gamer mind of FaZe Jev. Yeah, like FaZe. Straight ancient gamer lore. But that's enough.
Fucking Raquise!
I still see floaters in my vision, and I desperately need to get some eye drops. You guys enjoy the Toho representation in the meantime. God, my eyes. God damn it.
雲
Vanguard is based off the character Momoji from Toho, primarily based off her appearance in a mod for Toho Hisotensuku, a Toho fighting game. She is the guardian of Yokai Mountain. Go figure. We might need to hire security ourselves though, I swear, I'm looking down at the crowd and I'm seeing an off-leash pet causing a ruckus. Nobody was even supposed to bring pets here. Who brought that thing? That's not normal. That's definitely not normal.
Who's that Pokemon?
With their guard always up, the Pokemon Lopunny launches themselves into Yomi. Equal parts faithful and artistic, this adaptation will leave you shocked. Now, as faithful to the source material as she is, there's a certain character whose faith intertwines with their fighting style. The Roman gods called forth their strongest warrior into Yomi, presenting themselves on the stage that is Killamanjaro, with an entire mechanic revolving around faithfulness. What may happen if you don't hold on to your faith? Well, lucky for you, the consequences of that will be seen next. Especially for those who have already seen what happens when you damn someone for their false faith. We're right before the halfway point now. Perhaps now you understand the scale of this presentation. Due to its insane size, for the courtesy of all live viewers, that would be you more than likely, we will be having a short intermission period. Take your time to go do anything you may need real quick. That be a short bathroom break, a snack, or even stretch your legs. Or all of the above. I know I'll be having to do all these things here in a second. For those of you who are watching the direct after the premiere, feel free to simply jump forward. You aren't missing out on much anyway. For the live viewers, however, every minute we'll ask a question. That way you have something to do. I'll see you all back here in a bit. I'm gonna go stretch my legs. A bit. A bit of what I want. Okay, I went and got myself a drink. I hope I'm not interrupting anything, by the way. Hello, guys. Hi. Actually, wait, I might actually be interrupting something. I know that there are a couple of people that like doing reaction live streams. If you're doing a reaction live stream of, hi guys, it's me. Hello. Hello, chat. Hello, chat. Everybody send a thing in chat. Everybody say hi. Say hi in chat. I do see that there is a little bit of time left, so I'm gonna go ahead and get up and leave you guys to it. Sorry for interrupting. I'll be right back. I'll be back whenever the time reaches 0. How about that? That'll be good. Y'all take care. Sorry for interrupting. Bye. Ciao. Ooh, there we go. Ooh, ooh. Ironically enough, Peaisht is a rep from the previous big mod jam, the Mountains Marmalade. They are a mysterious band of exorcists, driving away spirits of winter to usher in springtimes, even working with Saint Nick. Although there are usually multiple Peaishts, not just two. These two alone have stumbled their way into the dark underworld of battle. To balance the skills, we'll need a team.
Let's rock!
When your friends and boss to come like on the face of it, then you say history. But they fight all the place in it. Yeah, they fight all the place in it. How they find the times that just have to left the fight. I know it's natural to say, but there ain't no other way. So step on up to the flame. Leave your face, what can fail to the light of earth. Step on up to the flame, 'cause there ain't no change. It's time to make history,
The investigation team from the Persona series takes their scouring to Yomi. Maybe they're punching a bit above their weight class, but as a team, they will see their struggles through to the end. Though that might not always be enough to win, considering just what kinds of deities they'll be facing. This borderline deity outmuscles almost everyone else seen today in terms of sheer power, but he is pulling their punches to keep things more interesting for themselves. If it can bleed, we can kill it. But just because you're ore forming when saying that line doesn't mean you're exempt from that fact yourself. That's right, our beloved bloodbender Uranos is getting a massive update, building up on their blood resource even more than before, showing that even in their moments of detriment, it's only in their favor. Though with enough determination, even this threat can be surmounted. Perhaps supernatural intervention could even the odds. Some might call it a curse, but others would call it a technique. I wasn't lying earlier when I said Jujutsu Kaisen was getting a lot of representation for this event, with the appearance of Nobara! But now is the time where a more unexpected source material gets its one representative. Tono is a character from Multi-Blood with the power of death perception, allowing him to cut at the secret weak points of things and people to destroy them with his knife. Alternatively, you could use a less supernatural method to destroy people with sharp metal objects, or perhaps even some 1700s methods. Steam Machine is a cool original character, an automaton brought to life by steam power. If you push the limits of their power, you risk destroying yourself. However, in exchange, you will be rewarded with great power. However, not all weapons should be used. If you push the limits of these cursed implements, you may lose everything that makes you human. Shoutouts is a character from the world of Project Moon. Making a deal with the devil, he was given a gun that never misses. However, the final shot in each magazine from the gun would always hit someone he loved. So he simply killed everyone he loved. Debatably evil, much like our next entry. Weaver is a malicious mastermind who never takes a fair fight, always setting up dozens and dozens of traps beforehand. Weaver is a very vanilla-adjacent character in terms of both aesthetics and the philosophy behind their game design. But what if the vanilla characters didn't follow that game design philosophy themselves? The modded vanilla cast, if anything, makes for a nice party trick, with excessively sized normals and exaggerated mechanics that make them relatively unfair but hilarious to fight against. If you see any tournaments featuring these characters, you should raise an equally comically large eyebrow. However, these are the exception.
異生体2体では仕留めきれなかったか。ならばどうするか。それを教えてくれたのは領域展開。
どうやらとことん俺を仲間外れにしたいらしいな。
The last of the JJK reps reveal themselves, with Mahito and Toto claiming Yomi as their battlefield. We hope the surge of good Jujutsu Kaisen mods serve well to cleanse the name of JJK mods as a whole, as this classic niche does deserve better. Classic is the word that best describes the next character you'll see. Slimpert is getting a big update that remasters him for the modern day. With new aesthetics and mechanics, he's ready to see some action again. However, he better watch his step, otherwise it'll be a horrible night to be a slime.
Almost time for Halloween! Come to my house! Ah, shit. Don't come to my house or else I'll suck your dick!
Finally.
Yomi 帰れ光あれ 光あれ
Belmont has an original soundtrack now, made by a talented remixer in the Castlevania community. Among other things, custom after images, particles, balance changes, and of course, achievements. Each achievement is hidden but comes with hints. Solving more and more achievements will grant you more and more rewards. continuing the music theme, it's time for the heavy band to come on stage.
A new height.
I'll show you just what a corrector is capable of.
Straight out of the dojo, we have a few surprise characters, most with a largely music-centric theme, including fentanyl? I really shouldn't be surprised, especially after 3 years of on and off work, but you will be. Let's end our trailers this summer with a bang, with someone who needs very, very little introduction. Delta, Yomi's fan-favorite AU skeleton, is back, with more thought, love, and care put into him than ever before, with new moves and awesome features. And with that, that's all the mods that we have to present for you today. If you've made it this far, we thank you so much for waiting. We hope to see you again in the future in Killamanjaro 4. To everyone still tuned in, we give you our thanks. Your patience will now be rewarded. We welcome you all to the first fully sponsored mod jam for Yomi Hustle, Yomi Legends, where we will seek and find the greatest mod developers for Yomi to band together to create only the best content for all players alike. Before we continue to information regarding the jam, I would like to thank some of the people and communities responsible for making this happen. A big thank you to the heads of the Pixel Perfect Party, Modded Mountain, and Bracketeering for coming together to make this a possibility. And a special thank you to our main sponsor, Flamboyant, for donating the initial $1,000 to make this all possible. A small round of applause to everyone involved. We wouldn't be here without them. As for you guys, you're all invited to participate in this jam. You don't need to add any money to a pot, have any previously released mods or experience, or any other requirements. Everyone is invited to throw their hands into the ring. So long as you are physically capable of using a computer or computer-adjacent device to create and submit a character to the jam, you can participate. To submit a character, there will be an invitation to a Discord server dedicated to those interested. The server invite link will be in all respective collaborator servers, as well as in the description of this very video. You will have 6 months to create your character, due January 1st, 2026, based on the following prompt. The prompt for the Yomi Legends mod jam, designed and decided upon by our council of judges, is Leaders and Legends. You may create a character surrounding 2 different prompts. Either a leader figure reflected in their aesthetic and gameplay in any way you'd please, or a legendary figure. In both aesthetic and gameplay, they are a master at one specific thing, at the cost of a weakness somewhere else. Half a one versus many theme, half a sort of legendary mythical theme. Beyond the loose descriptions, you can take these prompts wherever you see fit. Once you gather your team, if applicable, and come up with your idea for your character, please make sure you follow the jam rules. You must follow one or both mod jam prompts. You may only submit one character for the jam. Your character must be a character, not a game mode, stage, skin, etc. Your character must be a new project as of the start of the jam, not a continuation of a pre-existing project. Your character must be a brand new character. They can be inspired or themed like a pre-existing character, but they have to be meaningfully distinct. Your character must have a substantial moveset, a minimum of 4 normals grounded and aerial independent, 4 specials, and 1 super. Base moves such as grab, burst, cancels, etc. do not count. You may use any sound or visual effects library you want as long as they are not ripped from any other mod. You may borrow code as much as necessary as long as it's used appropriately and your character isn't just 90% borrowed code you haven't edited at all. You may have a team to work with you, in fact we recommend it, but your work together all falls under just one submission. Prize money and physical rewards will only be sent to one individual on the team. Distribution is up to the winner. You may ask for outside assistance, but only to aid in fixing anything you've already made. No one can create code or assets for your character unless they are distinctly a part of your team. One person should not be a part of multiple teams. You may upload the mod before the deadline and continue to make updates as necessary, but only the final version will be scored after the deadline is met. No NSFW content is allowed. No AI-assisted ideas, code, or art will also be allowed. Breaking any of these rules will lead to instant disqualification and jamification. I will turn you into jam. I don't make the rules, I'm just the messenger. If you are worried about how your mod is going to get judged, good. Here are the exact criteria we will be judging by. All submissions will be ranked on a 100-point system, equaling to a total of 1,000 points between all 10 judges. Sprite work. Are the sprites and animation pleasing to the eye and fit the overall aesthetic of the character? Stylization is just as valued as the sheer fidelity of the animations themselves. Visual effects. Do the visuals complement the character well and come off as both consistent and pleasant? Sound effects. Do the sounds complement the character well, with enough variance and technique to make the sound design distinct? Polish. We don't expect mods for our jam to be 100% complete, but credit will be given to mods that have an air of that sort of quality. Is there a hit 1.wave spam, base game sprites, etc.? Performance. Do bugs make the character unplayable in a single player or multiplayer environment? Is the character lag inducing? We won't hold unintentional exploits against you too hard, as this is a jam, but an abundance of easy exploits would be counted against you. Innovation in design. Does your character use the game's mechanics of Yomi to its advantage? What unique mechanics does the character bring to the table, and how well executed are they? Is the character enjoyable to play as? Is it satisfying in both wins and losses? Is the character enjoyable to play against? Do they meet the golden ratio of strength that would be acceptable in a tournament setting? Are they frustrating to find leverage over? With all that being said, you now know how we'll be judging all submissions. But who will be doing the judging? Well, we have 10 judges total, 3 from every one of the servers collaborating, as well as 1 honorary judge. From bracketeering, we have Cherry, who has stood at the very forefront of balanced development for several mods, including serving as the sole playtester for RHG Wave 1, won the design contest for Michael the Dark and Bright, and aided in many of the top mods on the workshop. Mana, who's involved themselves in balancing for several solo mods and mod packs alike, including several mods created by many of the judges on our list. And finally, LXL, who has gone out of the way to remaster many older mods for the modern day, such as Doomsayer and Callisto, and also greatly in charge for the tournament roster for bracketeering, giving him knowledge on both mod development and character balance all on the same card. From Modded Mountain, we have Thomas, director of the Killamanjaro Directs and co-host of the Marmalade Mod Jam. As main director of most Modded Mountain events, he's very familiar with the tournament environment. Since the week Yomi dropped on itch, he's been studying how to design characters for the game, and has even put some of that design to practice with some modding experience himself. Video Freak, one of the community's leading bodies in balance, contributing to many new and aspiring developers on many key aspects of the game that oftentimes become overlooked. And finally, Goro, one of the most recurring winning tournament players, a veteran in the game of Yomi. Their experience will serve well in judging which characters fare well against those with the strongest hands. And finally, from the Pixel Perfect party, we have Emmy, who has revolutionized Yomi in ways before thought impossible, creating unique elements in every character she's participated in, from mechanics to shaders to mods that both fix and break the game itself. Furious, who, while doesn't have that much in quantity, makes up for in absurd quality. Their mods push the limits of not only what was once thought possible for a Yomi character, but has single-handedly pushed the gold standard for what mods that excel the status quo should look like. And myself, of course. I've been around the community since nearly the beginning, and I've stuck around tooth and nail to stay where I am now. With great joy, I present this event to all of you. And to make the number of judges and points even across the board, we've brought back one of the greatest faces of Yomi modding as an honorary guest. Hekanak, colloquially known as Knock, one of the founding fathers of Yomi modding as a whole, who, after their debut with the Forbidden Arts since back in itch, has only been raising this standard, holding reign to some of the most subscribed and played mods on the workshop to date. We're all excited to see what you all submit, and I presume you're all excited to see what you're going to win. Okay, so before we go any further, this just in, full honesty, we preemptively got Knock to be a judge because we didn't need a 5th judge, though we did have someone else in mind that was taking a little bit longer to respond, but now they responded and now I feel bad. However, I can't mess up on this card. The Ivy Sly themselves will also be serving as an honorary judge. How will the 100-point system work with 11 judges? I've honestly got no idea. Part of me is half tempted to try to see if I can make Ivy and Knock themselves have both, you know, equal points or whatever. But, big but there. That would mean that we would have 1,100 points total, which is fine, but if anything, this rule might change, so just like keep it in mind for future reference. Awesome. Thumbs up. The Ivy Sly, I'm not even, look, a message. Whoa, let's move on. As it stands, the current prize pool sits at $1,250 American dollars. This prize pool will be split among the top 5 winners, with first place earning 50% of the prize pool, second and third place winning 20%, and fourth and fifth place earning 5%. And still growing. Hopefully as time goes on, we can see the introduction of real physical prizes and potentially more money to be won. If you are interested in sponsoring this event, or sponsoring any other future events, please feel free to DM me on Discord. We hope to see what everyone can do. Well, without further ado, happy hustling. Thanks for watching.